All right, the jury has completed their review of Defendant's Exhibit 6. Mr. Taylor, your next witness.
Yes, sir. The defense calls Ashley Benefield.
You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Good morning, Ms. Benefield.
Morning.
As you've heard me tell other witnesses, just make yourself comfortable in that chair. Get about 12 to 15 inches from the microphone. It does adjust up, down, left to right. And if you speak in a loud, clear voice, the electronics will pick up everything.
Okay.
Mr. Taylor.
Good morning. Will you tell us your full name and spell your last name, please?
Ashley Christina Benefield, Benefield.
How are you feeling this morning, Ashley?
Nervous.
All right. Try best you can to relax, and we'll get through this.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit, Ashley, about where you were born and raised.
I was born in Corpus Christi, Texas, and I grew up in Annapolis, Maryland.
What type of family values were instilled in you?
Objection relevant.
Overruled.
I believe in the importance of kindness and compassion, empathy, honesty, hard work, accountability.
What type of work did your father do?
My
Objection relevant.
I'll allow it.
My dad was a Naval Academy graduate who was a Navy pilot and then started flying privately for the airlines, which is what he still does.
And how about your mom?
When I was born, my parents decided that my mom would stay home to take care of me full time since my dad traveled so much.
I want to ask you a few questions about your childhood. Did you have any siblings?
I grew up an only child.
Were your parents active in your development as a child?
Yes, they were very active in my schooling and supportive of my pursuit of the arts.
Hold on 1 second, I'm sorry. We need some, get some headsets. Headsets.
Sorry.
How many? We need to request to speak up. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I misunderstood. All right, Ms. Benefield, yeah, if you could scoot a little bit closer and speak up so the jury can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Do the best
I
you can.
apologize. Go ahead, sir.
Sure, do the best you can, Ashley.
Okay.
Do you have any hobbies?
I love art. I like drawing, painting, sculpting, ballet. I enjoy gardening, baking, cooking. Most importantly, I'm a mom.
What type of high school did you attend?
Objection. Can you move on, please?
I'm going to sustain at this point.
I'm trying to establish her ballet, Your Honor.
All right. If it's related to something specific, then yes.
Sir. Thank you. Tell us about your high school, Ashley.
I went to a small private Christian school.
And did you study anything in particular in high school?
I was focused on pursuing ballet.
And was ballet a large part of your curriculum when you were in high school?
Yes, I danced full time. I actually finished my last few credits my senior year with an accredited homeschool program for athletes, so I could dance during the day.
Do you still dance professionally?
No.
Why not?
I retired after I tore my hamstring.
I want to ask you about Doug. When did the two of you meet?
We met August 25th of 2016.
And tell us what your impression of him was when you met.
He was very confident in who he was, passionate about what he was doing for work. He was fascinating to talk to.
What was it, if you recall in particular, that attracted you to him, Ashley?
He was funny, very smart, charming. We just instantly clicked.
Was Doug in the military?
Yes, just like my dad, he was in naval aviation.
Did he turn out to be who you thought he was?
No, not at all.
I want to direct your attention, Ashley, now, if I can, to the day of the homicide, September 27, 2020.
Okay.
Specifically late in the afternoon. Would you tell us why Doug was at your home?
He came over to help load some of the larger items that my mom and I had kind of pre-staged in the garage into the U-Haul truck.
And were there any discussions between the two of you about the order that these things should be placed in the back of the truck?
Yes, we had discussed that my things would be going in last, right at the front, so they would be easy to get out first. At one point, he had me help him load one of the larger pieces into the back of the U-Haul truck. And when I was up in the truck with him, I realized that everything had been all like mixed together and it was no longer separated. And I pointed that out to him, and he got really offended and upset. He said, "It shouldn't be your stuff, my stuff, your house, my house."
Was there a particular demand he made at that time?
He said I needed to start acting like a wife.
Tell us at that point how you chose to deal with him.
I tried to change the subject. I could see how upset he was getting. So I wanted to kind of alleviate that.
And how was Doug reacting to your efforts to do that?
He was getting more upset and aggressive and threatening.
Do you attempt to avoid confrontation with him?
Yes.
What do?
I was trying to get him to leave. I kept suggesting that maybe we should be done, saying I was tired. We should just wrap it up for the day.
And what was Doug's reaction to that effort?
He heard me, but he completely disregarded what I was saying.
Ashley, would you tell us if there came a time shortly thereafter where there was physical contact between the two of you?
Yes.
Tell us about it.
We were in the living room, and as he came up to me, instead of walking past me, he walked like right into me, like a body check. He like thumped me.
His shoulder to your shoulder?
Yes.
And describe for us, if you can, the force of the bump.
It caught me off guard. I almost fell. I like stumbled.
How was he acting at that point?
He was clearly hostile. He was mumbling under his breath and was glaring at me.
What was your concern?
I could see that it was escalating, and I didn't want him to blow up at me.
Was there a second instance of physical contact?
Yes.
Tell us about that, please.
We were in the garage, and it was very much like the living room. I had just suggested strongly that I wanted to be done for the day, And he, as he came up to me, he walked right into me. Again, body checked me.
Finally, was there a third instance of contact?
Yes.
What happened?
We were in the hallway, and we were coming opposite directions towards each other, and he had a box. And as he walked up to me, he looked me in the eye, and he drove the corner of the box up into me.
Where?
My side.
Indicating on your right side.
Yes, sir.
In the hip area?
Yes, sir.
What was the result of that?
Scratching. It burned.
Yes, sir.
Ashley, I'm going to hand you what's been marked as defense exhibit numbers 8, 9, and 10. Approach.
Yeah, just do me a favor, whenever you're holding them up, they were facing the jury until they're admitted.
Sorry.
Yes, sir, thank you very much. 8, 9, and 10?
Yes, sir. Will you tell us what Exhibit 8 represents, Ashley?
It's a scratch right here.
And was that scratch caused by the cardboard box that you just related?
Yes, sir.
When was that photograph taken?
The night of September 27th, 2020, at the sheriff's office.
Okay, and how about Exhibit number 9?
Also scratches on my side.
From the same incident?
Yes, sir.
Also taken that evening at the sheriff's office?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and Exhibit 10?
The same scratches as in 9. They're just, it's a close-up.
Do these photographs, Ashley, truly and accurately reflect the scratches and bruises you received on late that afternoon on September 27, 2020?
Yes.
Do they accurately reflect how the scratches looked when they were fresh?
Yes.
Thank you. I move respectfully, Your Honor, defense exhibits 8, 9, and 10 into evidence.
Any objection?
No.
They'll be received.
What was your response, Ashley, after being struck by the cardboard box?
I apologized.
Why would you have apologized?
Because I could see how upset he was, and I didn't want him to get more mad at me.
Where does Doug go after that incident?
He continued to the garage with the box.
And what happens at that point?
We started getting into a back and forth about being done for the day and what still needed to be packed and that I wanted to be done. And we ended up in our daughter's bedroom, and he started screaming at me. He said, "Shut the fuck up." He started calling me names. And he said, "I can see what you're doing. You're trying to get me to leave." He said, "I don't have to leave. I can stay and spend the night if I want to because I'm your husband."
At that point, Ashley, how did you feel with respect to your own personal safety?
I was scared.
Did you take any steps to try to avoid anything further?
Yes, I ran to try to leave the house.
And where did you run to?
To the front door.
Did you make it?
No.
Tell us what happened.
He stopped me. He grabbed me by the hand and he yanked me back. I'm not really sure how he did it, but he spun around so he was in front of me. Between me and the door.
So
He said,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
where the fuck do you think you're going?
What was your response? Do you specifically recall? Tell us.
I just blurted it out and I said, I'm done and you need to leave now.
What was Doug's reaction to that command to leave now?
He said, you can't fucking leave me.
Then what happens?
He hit me on the side of the head.
Ashley, I'm going to ask you what's been marked as defendant's exhibit number 7. Tell us what that represents.
It's a picture of my face.
Is it an accurate picture of what your face looked like on that night?
Yes, sir.
Who took that photograph?
I don't remember her name. She was at the sheriff's office.
At the sheriff's office? Okay. Now, what is it about that photograph that shows or reflects the slap or the hit that you got to the side of your head on that day by Doug?
That side of my face is swollen and puffy and discolored around my eye.
And is your eyelid drooping
Yes.
on the side where you were hit?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move defense exhibit number 7 into evidence.
Received.
What was different at that moment, Ashley, than at any time in your prior relationship with Doug?
He'd never actually hit me before.
What did you do?
I ran
Where?
to my room
Why?
because I was scared.
Ashley, did you have anything in your room that could protect you?
I had my gun.
Did you grab the gun?
Yes.
As you're grabbing the gun, what, if anything, did you hear?
I heard the door hitting the doorstop.
As if it is flung open?
Yes.
And what do you see, Ashley, when you look up?
Doug was standing in the doorway. His face was red. Like the veins were bulging in his neck. The way he was looking at me didn't even look like Doug. His eyes were black.
Does he yell anything at you?
He said, "You're fucking done."
And what does he do at that point?
I held the gun in front of me and I said, "Stop." And he turned and he got into this it was a fighting stance. I got low and he started moving his arms and his hands around. And he was making these jerking motions.
What were you expecting when you were holding the gun out in front of you and you told him to stop?
I thought when he saw it he would leave.
Did he?
No.
At that point, Ashley, what are you thinking?
I thought he was gonna kill me.
Tell us what happens next.
He started coming towards me. And then he lunged at me. And I started pulling the trigger. And he just kept coming. And I remember trying to move to get away from him, but he kept coming at me.
Ashley, would you tell us why, if you're holding a loaded firearm, you were attempting to move away?
I was trying to get away from him. I was terrified.
All right, so you're firing. He keeps advancing. What happens next?
It was like his feet slipped out from under him and his legs went up in the air.
When Doug hits the floor, what's your immediate reaction?
I ran to get help.
Can you tell us how many shots you fired?
I have no idea. I was in a panic.
Do you remember anything about the shooting beyond what you've told us here?
It was a blur.
Where did you run for help, Ashley?
To my neighbor's house.
What's your neighbor's name?
John Sant.
Ashley, I have to ask you a couple of very difficult questions. You okay?
Yeah, sorry.
Ashley, tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury why you shot Doug.
I was scared to death. I thought he was gonna kill me. There was nowhere to go. I was trapped. In my own house, he wouldn't let me leave.
As you sit here today, Ashley, how do you feel about what happened?
Horrible. He's the father of my child. So I'm gonna have to explain it all to her.
Judge, I wonder, could we have a minute, maybe a brief recess, let have her compose herself?
All right. Members of the jury, if you could step out for a couple of minutes, we'll bring you right back. Just leave your notes where they are. You put them face down. Please don't begin your deliberations. You can use your phones, but don't talk with anybody outside the jury about the case. Don't do any research on the people, places, things, or legal topics we're going to talk anything about. Thank you. All right, you all can have a seat. Ms. Benefield, you can have a seat. You need to take a moment to compose yourself?
Yeah, would it be all right if she stepped out?
No, sir.
May I approach her? With no conversation?
As long as you don't say anything. Yeah.
Not say a word.
Yes.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Ma'am, there's Kleenexes here next to you. Those.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry.
All right, Judge, I think you can bring it back in.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
All right, let's go and bring the jury back in.
One moment, sir.
Yes, sir. They might have stepped into the facility, so we'll wait a minute. All right, let's bring him in. Bless you. Bless you. All right, it'll be a couple of more minutes till the jurors are finished with their break. So let's 9:56. Let's say at 10:05 we'll reconvene. Ms. Benefield, I'm going to allow you to leave the stand. However, you are in the middle of your testimony. You may not communicate with anyone at all during your testimony. Do you understand? So you can step down and use the facilities, that's just fine, but you cannot communicate even with your attorney while you're testifying, all right? Okay, you need to step out, you can do so. So we'll be in recess until about 10:05 or so. Oh, all right. Thank you. Be seated. All right, I've checked. The jury is all back. They're ready to go.
Ready?
Come on back. Ready?
Yep.
State.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, let's go ahead and bring him in. All right, you all can have a seat. Welcome back, everybody. Did anybody begin deliberation to talk about the case amongst yourselves? Did anybody communicate with anybody outside the jury about the case? Or did anybody do any research on the people, places, things, or legal topics we've heard anything about?
No, sir.
Everybody says no. Mr. Taylor, you can resume your direct examination.
Thank you, Judge White. Ashley, would you tell us where the pistol was in your bedroom?
It was in a storage bin. It was on top of my laundry basket.
Will you describe the storage bin?
It was like a square bin with hard sides and cloth covering the sides.
Do you remember how old Emerson, your child, was at the time of this incident?
About 2.
Was Emerson able to access that storage bin?
No.
Whose firearm was it?
Mine.
Did you have a license?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to show you, Ashley, what's previously been marked as Defendant's Exhibit Number 2. And Your Honor, I'd like to, if I could, put that up on the screen. Could we?
Are you from the Elmo?
For the blinds.
Oh, sure. And one more set of lights.
Thank you, Deputy. Ashley, take a look at the picture on your concealed firearm license. And in particular, are we able to zoom in on the portrait, the picture? Yeah. Ashley, do your eyelids look the same in that picture?
Yes, sir.
Do they look different in the picture that we admitted after you were slapped?
Yes, sir.
Let's put the, you see now, let's put defendant's exhibit number 7 up on the screen. Ashley, what side of your face did he hit you on?
The left side.
The left
The
side.
left side.
And as we're looking at this picture, it would be to the right.
Correct.
Is your eyelid on the right side the same as your eyelid on the left side?
No, sir.
And how about your eyebrow? The space between your eyebrow and your eyelid on the right side, is that the same as the space between your eyebrow and your eyelid on the other side?
No, sir.
All right, thank you, Judge. I think we can lift the blinds. Was the firearm registered to you, Ashley?
Yes.
I'd like to now direct your attention back to your initial introduction to Doug. How long was it before Doug expressed his devotion to you?
It was about 4 days after we met that he told me he loved me.
Did any significant event follow after he expressed his love for you?
He flew me to South Carolina, where he was living at the time, and asked me to marry him, and I said yes.
You remember the date?
September 7th, 2016.
How old was he at the time on September 7th, 2016?
54,
And how old were you?
24.
When you finally moved in together, what was it like?
It was challenging. Doug hadn't told his daughter Eva that we had gotten married, and so when she found out, she was really upset. Just understandable. Her mom had suddenly passed like 8 or 9 months before, and I was a complete stranger to her, and I'm moving into her house.
At that point in your relationship, Ashley, describe for us the man you thought you'd married.
He was very loving and attentive. He was always with me. We did everything together. We laughed a lot. And he made me feel very special and loved. He always was looking for ways to be with me and to do things for me.
Was there a short time after that you were separated?
Yes, sir.
And what was the reason?
Before I had met him, I had planned a trip, and so I went on my trip. It was a cruise with my mom and one of my girlfriends.
Were you able to communicate with Doug while you were on the cruise?
Yes, sir.
How?
We mostly messaged each other.
I'm going to pass to you what's been marked as defendant's exhibit number 3, I believe, for identification.
We have four. Oh, three, I'm sorry. Okay. Oh, the ones that we, yes, sorry.
Yes, sir.
Take a minute and go through those, and I'm going to ask you about them.
Okay. Do you want me to read all of them or?
Look
Okay.
through all of them. And then I'm going to ask you some questions about them.
Okay.
Are those text messages actually a true and accurate copy of the messages you received from Doug Benefield while you were on the cruise?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I would move defense exhibit number 3 into evidence.
Objection?
Can we approach this?
Yes.
Move to introduce defense exhibit number 3.
Any additional objections?
Oh, I'm sorry, not other than what we discussed.
Okay. Admitted, subject to what we discussed at the bench.
Ashley, in this exhibit number 3, who's represented in blue and who's represented in green?
May I take a look again? I'm blue and Doug is green.
You're blue and Doug is green.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I want to ask you what you thought and how you felt after this series of text messages where he said the following to you. And I'll go through them and you can respond.
Okay.
Like always being armed. And understanding them and how to conduct warfare in them for the kingdom. If I dwelt on it, I would go into a rage to remove them from the earth. I desire to exterminate them, and holding back is a challenge. They are rats that should be removed. Last night, just the jerks arguing near you about put me in sheer murderous mood, but I was stuck. I couldn't defend you. But could have been a fight, etc. Only you being with me will over time remove the images in my head. It is same, and knowing you were taken advantage of still in my mind makes me explode with anger to take them out. God made you for me. You haven't seen the warrior side and never want to. We went from joy and passion to now I'm in a testosterone rage inside. But kill the bad people. How long had you been married when you received these texts from Doug?
I believe it was about like a month or so. Probably thereabouts.
Do you recall approximately how long you had been married?
Well, we got married in the beginning of September, and this would have been the end of November.
Okay.
So more than that, I'm sorry.
What did you think? Was there anything about those texts that caused you to pause?
You know, at the time, I kind of tried to write it off that he was my new husband and he was just trying to be kind of manly and, you know, be protective and, you know, was trying to show that he really loved me. I think that was kind of what I
Did you
thought
think
at
it
the
was
time.
flattering?
Yeah.
Ashley, how long did this facade that you've described of Doug's last?
Probably about 3 months.
And what signs did you begin to see that he was not who you thought he was?
When I got back from the cruise, he started becoming very, like, controlling and possessive. He started criticizing everything about me, like the way I would wear my hair, or did my makeup, or the way I dressed. I found myself trying to change everything about me to make him happy.
If you had to pinpoint a specific incident, Ashley, early on that stands out to you, what would that be?
A friend of his had come to town to visit, and we went out to dinner with him. And when we went to leave, Doug had had a little too much to drink, and so I said that I would drive home. And he instantly got really mad at me. He was offended. He started screaming at me, and it continued all the way home. And when we got inside, I told him that he was drunk and he just needed to go to bed. And that really set him off. And he tried to flip over the dining room table. He threw a chair at me. He kept screaming at me until he stopped, and then he apologized. And he said it would never happen again. He said he's really sorry.
And Ashley, did it happen again?
Yes.
Explain what happened.
We had gone to church one Sunday, and after service, after everyone was leaving, we talked to the pastor in like the lobby area in front. And at one point, Doug stormed off, and by the time I caught up with him, I was in the parking lot, and he started cussing at me, calling me names. And when we got in the truck, he accused me of having a thing for the pastor, and he said I was a slut and a whore. And he screamed at me all the way home.
Ashley, was he aggressive and threatening like that in other instances?
It started happening more and more with me and with our animals. He would hurt our pets.
On approximately how many occasions was he cruel to your pets?
A handful.
How would Doug react following a dark episode?
Well, he was either really up or really down. And after, he'd be very sweet and apologetic. And he'd be kind. And things would be good. And it was kind of like a flip of a switch. And something would set him off again.
Did you find anything one day, Ashley, that gave you insight into Doug's marriage to his previous wife, Renee?
Yes, sir.
Tell us what it was.
I had been going through and kind of cleaning and organizing. And I was going through a bunch of old devices like phones and iPads. And I found a texting conversation between Doug and Renee, his previous wife.
Let me pass to you, Ashley, what we've marked as Defendant's Exhibit number 11. Can you identify that, Ashley?
This is part of the texting conversation. This is a text from Renee Benefield to Doug.
Is that a true and accurate copy of what you came across that day that you just related to us?
Yes, sir.
At this point, I'd like to move that into evidence as Defense Exhibit number 11.
No objection.
Received.
I'm going to read this to you. Let me know if it's accurate.
Okay.
I was deeply disappointed that you distorted the truth about who you really were when I married you. I loved you, though finding out you weren't really what you pretended to be. You kicking me so hard on New Year's Eve on our honeymoon because you were having trouble functioning in certain areas. You holding a gun to your head twice in my home that I opened to you with my children that still love you. Having to sell everything down to my wedding ring. Finding out you were on Viagra, which all of you had to do was tell me, you know I wouldn't care. Trying to film us making love on our honeymoon. Finding out that you wore eye pencil on and on. I loved you so much I didn't care. That's why I was shocked to think you would take pictures of me without asking. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Tell us, Ashley, how Doug would act when he would go off.
He would call it a fit of rage. Sometimes it was as simple as him just yelling and screaming at me or cussing at me, calling me names. Other times he would throw things or break things or smash things. He would come at me like he was going to hit me. He told me I was lucky that he punched walls instead of me.
Are there any incidences in particular, Ashley, that stand out to you?
Yes.
Tell us, please.
We were having an argument, and he came at me like he was going to hit me. And our dog, Sully, jumped up in between us, and he punched him in the face so hard that he knocked him out. I just remember screaming because I thought he had killed him.
Were there other times that Doug hurt the animals?
Yes, he had kicked, punched Sully. He threw our cat multiple times. Sometimes he threw Snuffy down the stairs.
What kind of impact did this behavior have on you?
I was always walking on eggshells, trying to do the right things. Because if I said the wrong thing, he would get mad at me. And so I always tried to do it right. If I wore the wrong thing, he would call me a whore or a slut. I feel like I couldn't do anything right.
Was there an incident, Ashley, in June of 2017 that you vividly recall?
Yes.
Please explain it.
We were having an argument, and it started getting really out of hand. He pulled a gun out, and he was like waving it around. And then he threw it at me. And it hit the wall behind me, punched a hole in the wall. When I went to run to try to leave, he pulled the gun out and held it to his head. He said that he's gonna blow his fucking brains out, and I was gonna have to watch him. And he pulled the trigger and he shot a hole in the ceiling in the kitchen.
Ashley, at that point, what were you thinking about your marriage?
He wasn't anything like I thought he was. I feel like I had made a really big mistake marrying him. It was like I was just living in this nightmare. I never knew what I was going to get.
Did there come a time in July or August of 2017 when you found yourself with child?
Yes.
So let's be clear here chronologically. You became pregnant after this incident where you related that he shot the gun in the ceiling of the kitchen?
Yes, it would have been like right after that, I guess.
Was it planned?
No, it was the last thing on my mind at that point.
How would you deal with Doug?
I tried to do all the right things and keep him happy. Kind of just go with the flow. I didn't want to rock the boat ever.
Did you have a difficult pregnancy?
Yes, I was really sick.
Did you go home from South Carolina to stay with your mom here in Bradenton at the end of August 2017?
Yes, sir.
Did there come a time when you returned to South Carolina?
Yes.
Would you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Ashley, why you returned to South Carolina?
I had decided that I was going to leave him. And so I went back to get my things. When he brought me down, I didn't even have like a suitcase or anything. So I went back to get my stuff. And I wrote him a note and left him a letter saying why I was leaving.
I'm gonna have an objection.
You approach.
I'd like to make a statement for the record. I'd like to make a statement for the record. All right, Ashley, can you identify what we marked for identification of defendants exhibit
Judge,
number?
I'm going to object.
Sustained.
Well, she can't even identify it.
No, sir. I made my ruling.
You told us you left him a letter?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. Let me pass this to you. You can.
Judge, I'm going to object.
Sustained.
Do you remember independently everything that you said in the letter?
Not everything, no.
Would it help refresh your recollection if you were able to see the letter?
Yes.
Judge, objection.
Sustained.
At the time that you wrote the letter, Ashley, were the contents fresh in your mind?
At the time, yes.
The letter was written in September 2017.
Yes, that's correct.
It's now 2024,
Yes, sir.
so 7 years ago.
Yes.
All right. Do your best
Okay.
to try to respond to a series of questions I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
What did you tell Doug
Objection, hearsay.
Sustained. Sir, can we approach, please?
How did you feel about your personal safety when you left Doug?
I was scared.
What was it that made you uncomfortable?
It was a lot of things. Just the things that he'd done, like punching our dog and shooting the gun and different things he would say and do.
And were you afraid for just you?
I was pregnant at the time. I was scared for the baby.
Were there instances, Ashley, where you felt that your own safety had been placed in danger as a result of conduct by him?
Yes.
Can you give us some examples?
I I guess one thing that comes to mind is sometimes he would drive really scary, yelling and screaming at me and like running up on curbs. One time he almost hit a tree.
Did you strike that? Describe the kind of things that would be done to intimidate you.
He would get in my face. He'd yell at me. He'd come at me like he was going to hit me.
What about breaking things?
He would break things, smash things, threw things at me.
Listen. How would you describe, if you were using adjectives, his behavior?
Possessive, controlling, manipulative, aggressive, scary, unpredictable.
Ashley, did you take any steps in addition to leaving this letter to protect yourself in South Carolina?
Yes.
What did you do?
I filed for a domestic violence injunction, like a protective order.
Ashley, I'd like to pass to you what we've marked as Defendants Exhibit 13A and 13B and ask you if you can identify them.
Okay. Um, 13A is the
Objection, Jeff.
Ashley, what was the date? Did the court grant the injunction?
Yes, sir.
Was there a hearing?
Yes, sir.
Were you present at the hearing?
Yes.
Was Doug present at the hearing?
Yes.
Did the judge rule at the hearing?
From the bench, yes.
All right. What was the date of the hearing?
November 3rd, 2017.
I'm sorry?
November 3rd, 2017.
2017?
Yes.
Okay, now, was that order that the judge decreed violated?
Yes.
By who?
By Doug.
How?
He sent me a package in the mail.
Sent you the package here in Florida?
Yes.
From South Carolina?
Yes.
What was the package represented to be?
A birthday gift, I believe.
And did you open it?
Yes.
What happened?
Well, when I opened it, there was an overwhelming smell, like a real strong chemical smell, and I got like an instant headache.
Did you report it to the police?
Yes.
Ashley, I'm going to pass you what we've marked as defendant's exhibit number 14 and ask you if you can identify it.
Okay. What do I do with these? Okay. Yes.
What is it?
It's a picture of the package he sent to me.
Is it a true and accurate picture of the package that you received on that day in November?
The outside of it, yes.
All right, Your Honor, on behalf of Ms. Benefield, we move that into evidence.
No, Judge.
Received. Defendant's Exhibit 14.
What did you do with the package after you opened it?
I sealed it back up and I put it in the garage before I brought it to the sheriff's department.
Now, you told us when you received the package, aside from the contents giving you a headache, that it was in violation of the South Carolina restraining order.
Yes.
Did you, when you contacted the police, request that they take some action?
Yes.
What was the result?
No charges.
Were you subsequently notified, Ashley, by the state attorney's office here in Manatee County that no charges were to be filed?
Yes.
Do you remember the date that you were notified?
Not off the top of my
Let
head.
me show this to you and see if it refreshes your recollection.
Okay. At the top, it says October 8th, 2018.
Ashley, when did you give birth to Emerson?
March 19th, 2018.
Where was Doug when you gave birth?
He wasn't there. It was during the restraining order from South Carolina.
So he wouldn't have been allowed to have contact with you.
Correct.
Do you remember how long the South Carolina restraining order was to last?
I believe it was 6 months.
Does there come a time when you're concerned about the South Carolina restraining order expiring?
Yes.
So at or about the time of that, what steps, if any, did you take to protect yourself?
I filed for a domestic violence injunction here in Florida.
What was the result?
It was denied.
And was there any directive entered with respect to Emerson?
There was a time-sharing agreement set up.
Shortly after that, or at or about the same time, was there additional litigation that you filed?
Yes.
Do you recall what it was for?
Divorce and termination of parental rights.
In the termination of parental rights petition, Ashley, did you tell the court?
Objection, hearsay.
Go ahead and finish the question.
Did you advise the court in your petition about prior domestic acts of violence by Doug?
Yes.
Overruled. I'm sorry. Overruled. You may answer.
I'm sorry.
You're okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Yes.
Do you remember, or can you tell us today what you told the court?
I mean, not all off the top of my head.
Overruled.
You can answer.
I wouldn't be able to tell it all to you off the top of my head from memory now.
Okay, let's see if I can refresh your recollection.
Would you like me to read the whole thing, sir?
I'm sorry?
Do you want me to read the whole thing?
No.
Okay.
I would just like to ask you, has your recollection been refreshed?
I'm just getting to that part now.
Okay, then without referring to what's in front of you, tell us.
Well, can I
what you-
finish reading this section?
Remove the document
Yeah,
from.
you need to remove the document if the memory's been refreshed.
I just said I didn't finish reading that part.
So he needs to finish reading.
I'm sorry, take your time, finish reading.
Okay.
I don't expect you to remember all the details. I'm going to ask you for the high points.
Okay, sorry, there's just a lot in here. Okay.
So tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Ashley, the things that you had to say.
I talked about him punching Sully and kicking him, throwing our cat Snuffy, about him trapping me, grabbing me, yanking me, tripping me, shooting the gun in the house, punching holes in the walls. He trapped me in the closet, smash things like that.
All right. As part of the domestic violence injunction that you filed here in Florida, that was before Judge Moreland, was a deposition taken of Doug.
Yes.
Were you present?
Yes, by phone.
Who else was present at the deposition?
My attorney, as well as Stephanie Murphy, Doug's attorney, and a court reporter.
Was the judge present at the deposition?
No.
Were you able to hear the entire proceeding?
Yes, sir.
Did Doug make
Objection, Lawson.
Approach.
Ashley.
Can we approach based on this as well?
Okay?
Ashley, I'm going to pass to you what's been marked as defense exhibit number 17
Okay.
and ask you if you can identify it. Ashley, do you recognize that?
Yes, sir.
Tell us what it is.
They're text messages between me and Doug.
And do they truly and accurately reflect texting back and forth between you and Doug?
Yes.
On behalf of the defense, Your Honor, we move into evidence defense exhibit number 17.
Objection overruled. Defendant's Exhibit 17 will be received.
Ashley, in defense exhibit number 17, the text messages, does Doug admit to shooting the gun in the house?
Yes.
Does he admit to throwing the gun at you?
Yes.
Does he admit to punching holes in the drywall of the house?
Yes.
And does he admit to punching the dog and rendering him unconscious?
Yes.
Objection, no, you does not. Those text messages do not say that.
If I'm going to sustain, if you want to publish the exact
Yes,
exhibit that's been admitted, you can do so.
we intend to publish upon completion of the examination. I want to ask you, Ashley, if I can, about other instances of abusive conduct. Was a tracker at any time placed on your car?
Yes.
Was it done with your permission?
No.
Did Doug no, hold on. While the state is reviewing that, Ashley, I'm going to pass to you defendants exhibits 19 and 20. Tell us, if you would, what they depict.
Holes in the drywall of the house, our house in South Carolina.
Refer to them specifically. Exhibit number
19 has a
what does that
picture
show?
of a hole in the drywall with my hand next to it. It's kind of been like pushed back in.
Is it a true and accurate production of what existed at that time?
Yes.
All right, and the next one?
20 has a picture of a hole, like a fist hole through the drywall in our home.
Okay, is it a true and accurate A photograph of that?
Yes.
On behalf of the defense, Your Honor, we move them into evidence.
State, any objection to defense 19 and 20?
No.
Received.
We need to put it on this exhibit.
All right.
Ashley, did Doug admit to placing an illegal tracker on your vehicle?
Yes, in a message to me.
Did you report that to the police?
Yes.
What was the result?
No charges.
Were there incidents, Ashley, where Doug would appear unexpectedly?
Yes, a lot.
And how would that come about? Can you give us an example?
I'd be driving down the road and I'd see him in the rearview mirror, a couple cars behind me, or he'd be right behind me. Or sometimes he would show up at places that I was, just unexpected. I'd see him, or like in the parking lot.
And was this while you were living here in Manatee?
Yes, I was living here
And where was Doug living at the time?
in South Carolina.
How could he do that?
He was driving here.
Was this also during the time that the South Carolina injunction was in place?
Both then and after as well.
Did you report those incidents to the police?
Yes,
What was the result?
no charges.
Was there an incident with a neighbor, Ashley?
Yes.
What happened?
Objection.
Ashley, were you present
Yes,
for the incident?
yes, he was outside in the yard at night looking in the windows of my house.
What is the neighbor's name?
Marianne Croft?
And was this reported to the police?
Yes.
Did they respond?
Yes, they came out.
Was it daytime or nighttime?
It was nighttime.
In your presence, was an identification made that it was Doug?
Yes.
What was the result?
No charges.
Was there an incident, Ashley, where you and your mother came home to find someone in the driveway of your home?
Yes.
Who was it?
It was Doug.
What did he do when he saw you?
He was on foot in front of the house, and when he saw us, he took off running.
Did you call the police?
Yes, I had to call several times before they sent someone out.
Did they take a report?
They did, but by the time they finally got there, he was long gone.
What was the result?
No charges.
I want to introduce what we've marked as Defendant's Exhibit 23 and 24. Can you identify that?
Yes.
What does 23 show?
23 is a picture of Doug with his shirt off. He's like taking a selfie.
And is that how Doug looked at or about the time of the shooting on the 27th?
Yes.
All right, and what does the next exhibit show?
It's also a picture of Doug with his shirt off. He's working out. He's like doing like a push-up, I guess.
Does that too accurately represent what Doug looked like on the day of the homicide?
Yes.
Your Honor, on behalf of the defense, we move those two exhibits into evidence.
Any objection? No. Received?
Just one or two more questions, Ashley. Was there a time back around May of 2020 where you wanted to learn about co-parenting with an abuser?
Yes.
Objection. Previous ruling.
Sustained.
To the question, Your Honor, or to the line of inquiry?
To the question.
Okay. Did you take any steps, Ashley, to try to determine how to co-parent?
Yes.
All right, and what was that?
I did some like Googling and reading to try to find helpful articles on what to do to make things
I'm going
good.
to pass to you what we've had marked as Defense Composite Exhibit 4, A, B, C, and D.
Objection, Judge. Previous ruling. Excuse me, is being answered.
Can you approach?
Actually, I'm going to pass.
Defendants. Oh, go ahead. It's got to be.
Thank you. We pass you defendant's exhibit number 4.
No, I already ruled on authenticity in the past. So, over the state's objection, admitted.
Thank you. Take a look at Exhibit 4A, Ashley. What's the date?
5/11/2020.
And did you do an internet search on 5/11/23?
2020. Yes.
2020, rather?
Yes.
And will you tell us what the subject you researched was?
Domestic co-parenting with an abuser.
All right, and would you go to Exhibit 4B? What's the date of 4B?
5/11/2020.
Did you do an internet search then?
Yes.
What was the subject you researched?
Ask Amanda. How do I co-parent with an abuser?
All right, and 4C?
Yes.
What's the date of 4C?
5/11/2020.
And did you do an internet search then as well?
Yes.
What was the subject?
Co-parenting versus parallel parenting with an abusive ex, the Good Men Project.
All right, and lastly, 4D. What's the date of 4D?
5/11/2020.
Did you do an internet search?
Yes.
What was the subject?
6 tips to help you co-parent with an abusive ex.
All right, Your Honor, I think I'm finished if you just give me one moment. Actually, I'm going to pass you what's been previously admitted as defense exhibit number 6.
Okay.
Do you recognize it?
Yes.
What is it?
It's a whole chain of emails that were forwarded to me by my attorney.
And what is the date it was forwarded to you on?
It says Wednesday, September 23rd of 2020.
Did you read it?
Yes. I mean, do you want me to reread it now or?
Did you read it when it was forwarded to you?
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead. Can the attorneys approach, please? Ms. Benefield, you can step down. You can take your water, you can step down.
Okay. Should I?
Just leave everything there.
Okay. Can I throw this out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Members of the jury, it's about 11:45, so I'm going to let you go on your lunch break at this point. If I could have you guys back downstairs in that jury assembly room by 1 o'clock. And when I say by 1 o'clock, maybe 5 till, because the goal will be to go ahead and get you on up here and get started right around 1 o'clock this afternoon. Please remember, do not discuss this case amongst yourselves in any way, shape, or form. Don't discuss it with anybody outside of this jury, and do not do any research, watch television, read articles, anything at all about the people, places, things, or legal topics we've heard anything about. All right, leave your notes just right there on your chair, and we'll see you back right at 1 o'clock. All right, you all can have a seat. Ms. Benefield, when we had taken that break earlier, I had instructed you that you're in the middle of your testimony. You still are, because now the state's going to have the opportunity to do its cross-examination. The rule of sequestration applies to you. You may not discuss your testimony, any questions that have been asked with you, anything about the case, including with your own attorneys and defense team. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. Otherwise, you guys are free to go, and we'll see you back here. Just maybe a couple of minutes, as I said, state and defense, maybe just a couple of minutes before 1 o'clock, with the goal of getting everybody up here and started right at 1.
Okay.
All right? Exhibits, the clerk's checking right now. Parties, stay still until the clerk tells me that she has all of the exhibits that have been entered or proffered. Wait, 4A through D, you had proffered, but then you took them back?
I believe she.
Okay. Those are the same ones?
Yes, sir.
You didn't remark new ones?
No.
All right. I need 13A, B. Defense 13A and B. Oh, you know what? Those weren't admitted.
Right. Not admitted.
Right. No, so they weren't admitted. It was referenced and then that was it. Okay. All right. You guys are all set. Have a good lunch.
Thank you.
It's,